You know what I did once? I actually put my foot on a guy's chest and went, ah! And it was a catharsis.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I killed you while you were trying to kill me.
When you say that at such a young age, you realized what was happening, you realized you were experiencing PTSD, like what gave you, how did you think of like, okay, like I know what's going on, I'm just going to deal with it? Was there a mentor? Did somebody tell you to do that? Did somebody give you a heads up? Like, look, this is what's going to happen. You're seeing some horrific shit. It's going to have effects on you. You're going to have to live with it. How did you arrive at this kind of mentality?
Historically, man has been in warfare ever since we stood on our hind legs.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been warfare. We are a violent species. We've always made warfare. I'm not the first guy who went to war and saw dead bodies. You know, ancient tribes before we were hunter-gatherers, we saw that. You know, I'm 76 years old. I have a bad bone spur right now, which will eventually go away. I'm getting chemo for cancer. I've got false knees. I've got to replace knees. I've got to replace hips. Yeah, and here's the thought I have. If this were 100,000 years ago, I would be left behind.
Sure.
Because I can't keep up. And the animals would eat me. Because I wouldn't be a member of a tribe. It's that simple.
Yeah.
No, that's human nature.
Yeah.
That's human nature. All right? Now.
I mean, really survival of the fittest.
Correct. If you can't keep up, you get left behind and you die.
Mm-hmm.
We've evolved not mentally, not physically, but technically. So that at 76 years old, I could walk around wearing a gold Rolex and a gun at my side. So I can survive. I live in a society where I can still go to work every day or sit in front of my computer and make money.
Yes.
We've developed technically, but not emotionally, not biologically, not socially. Okay? Because old people still get left behind when they become useless. You know, that's still the practice.
How so? How do old people get left behind?
Well, you know, they go to assisted living. They quit functioning in society.
True.
I go to the VA and I see guys my age all withered up in wheelchairs.
Yeah, they sit there in the adult care center and play bridge
or they've worked their
years.
way. You know, they've worked their way into handicaps parking by overeating. Which I think is thoroughly unfair.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah. You know, I'm full of shrapnel. I got a plate in my back, a double knee replacement, a double hip replacement. I got scars all over me from being wounded, you know, and I got some guy, you know, that ate his way into handicap parking, and he's beating me out of my spot. And I go, fuck him, you know. And guess what? He's got PTSD because he's too fucking fat to tie his shoes. So
I have a theory about that. That's why Crocs are so popular.
and here's the other thing. You know, I'm not the only guy who's been through war.
Yes.
Men have been through war
forever.
You know, and you go to war. You come home, if you're lucky enough, you put down the sword and you pick up the plow. And that becomes part of who you were. You know, I love the Odyssey because what the Odyssey teaches us is that Odysseus goes to war for 10 years. He takes 10 years to come home. But that's the Odyssean trip where you leave your world as a young man, you go out and experience the other world, then you come back to your community and you're better off for it. And you are more of a benefit to your community for it, regardless of how long that adventure takes. That's what the Odyssey is all about. You know, you're out there and you just did that. You just left your community, you went out there, and now you're back. That's the Odyssey. to some degree or another. All young men should experience that.
Yes.
Now I know guys who never smelled a powder, who never heard a bullet ring in their ears, who were never impacted by a bullet,
Or even been in a fist fight.
or or
Or
or,
or even been smacked
or
by their father.
no, or who never even went. I'm talking about PTSD.
Okay.
Who never even went on a patrol. These guys are the cooks, the truck drivers, the supply guys, the office pogues. Now they're claiming they're PTSD because they were near a combat zone. That's bullshit.
Right.
That's a way of getting a little bit of extra money.
Yes.
That's a way of saying, feel sorry for me, because that's a way of calling attention to yourself.
I don't think I don't know if this is a stupid thing to say, but I don't think you should qualify for PTSD treatment or medical leave as a soldier unless you've been in combat. Because like, what the fuck else did you get PTSD from?
Well, let me tell you what it is. It takes 9 military personnel to keep one guy in a combat zone. Now, out of those guys in a combat zone, one guy in a combat zone, maybe out of every 10 guys, maybe 5 guys are effective in a combat zone. 5 guys can fucking figure it out and look for it and fight and get the job done. And it takes habituation. You get habituated to combat. You get habituated to seeing dead bodies.
Yes.
You get habituated to death. You get habituated to losing friends. You get habituated to seeing a corpse that was a human being with friends, with family. I remember opening up dead guys' wallets, and because there's a rule. You take out the picture of every female in a dead guy's wallet. And I'm talking about American dead. You take every female picture. I don't care if it's a photograph of the Virgin of Guadalupe. You dump it because you're going to send this shit home and there's no pictures. And you're looking at this guy and you see him with a wife and 2 kids. Your heart breaks,
Mm.
because he's not coming home. And the same thing for an enemy soldier. You look at an enemy soldier who's dead and you're going through his shit, to see what unit he worked with. And you find a picture of him and his parents. And you go, boy, how are those people going to feel when they find out their kid is dead? It's a bitch. And you just get used to it. You just get used to it. And it brings a certain seriousness to your life that doesn't exist in any other form. And when you execute an ambush and you're looking at men who are your age, just kids, baby teenagers, and you go, shit, they're never coming home either. And it's always a somber moment.
Mm.
It's never difficult, but it's never easy. It's always somber. It's always reflective. And you know what you wonder? You say, when is my family going to get the notification? When is my wife going to find out I'm not coming home?
Right.
And it's always within you. And I remember going out every day. Every day I went out on patrol. And at about 5 o'clock, I know I'm going out on patrol at dusk. The fear starts coming up. And you just got to swallow it. You just got to swallow it. You got to say, fuck, And sometimes it just gets to you real hard, but you just got to fucking swallow it. And you fucking line up, and out you go. On your patrol, on your ambush, on whatever it is you're going. And I'll tell you what that does. That can cause PTSD, but you get used to it. And you know what else happens? All that fear, all that remorse, all that stuff, there's a catharsis. It's like sticking a finger down your brain and you puke it up. You know what that catharsis is? May sound really bad, but you're standing over a dead enemy. And you look down and you go, yeah, fuck you. I got you.
Mm.
You didn't get me. I won. That's the catharsis of combat. If you don't experience that catharsis of combat, then you come home with PTSD. Now, the guys who have a lot of PTSD are the guys who are in combat zones but never experience combat. And they say, Hey, oh shit, I'm a cook, but what if we get raided? What if we get mortared? What if we get rocketed? Living with that kind of fear, that's worse than actually going out. Uh, You know what I did once? I actually put my foot on a guy's chest and went, ah! And it was a catharsis.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I killed you while you were trying to kill me. You know? And but all the other feelings don't go away. All the other feelings of somberness, all the other feelings of how are his parents going to take notification of his death? Does this guy have kids that are going to grow up without him? Is there going to be a little boy saying, my father died in the war fighting the Americans who invaded our country?
Right.
And what am I doing here? I don't give a fuck. I'm here. And that's all that counts.
Yeah. Once you're on the battlefield, it's you or them.
It's you don't even wonder why you're there. You're just there.
Right, right.
Everybody knew it was bullshit. Everybody knew we were in a bullshit war. Everybody, 90% of the guys I knew were rooting for the protesters in the U.S.
Do you think that affects soldiers' psyche more, knowing that you're not actually fighting for a proper cause? Like if you're actually fighting for something that you truly believe in, maybe that helps with PTSD a little bit.
I
you
think
feel
that
like
the
you're
last
doing a
guys
good
who had
thing?
the luxury of fighting something they believed in were the World War II vets. They were really saving the world from evil. They were really saving the world from evil. When I was in Vietnam, is if we don't stop them here, we'll be fighting them on our shores. That's bullshit. What are they going to do? Roll up to Los Angeles in a fucking sandpan? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.